Hey guys, I'm going to show you a video on how to do a piece of artwork that has to do with symmetry. And we're going to use a heart shape. This is a little more complicated piece of artwork, so it's probably better for my older grades to do it or older siblings. My younger students can try it too. You just might need a little help. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get 2 pieces of paper. It doesn't matter what type of paper you're using. You can do this with smaller pieces or a bigger piece. I like the large size pieces of paper. If you only have white paper at home, you can keep one page white and then color the other piece, and then you'll have 2 different colors. I chose yellow and purple because they are opposite colors on the color wheel, which means they're complementary. They make each other stand out and they look really cool together. So I'm going to take my pieces and I'm going to fold them in half, stacking one over top of the other. I'm going to fold them just like a card, hamburger way, and make my sides match up. I'm going to make a nice crease. Now for the next part, I prefer to draw before I cut. I think it's easier to see where to cut, and that way I'm not guessing. I'm going to try to draw a heart as large as I can, so I'm going to start about 1 inch down. And I'm going to go up and curve almost like I'm making a circle shape. And then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to start curving it back down. And I want it to meet the bottom part of my paper almost like a triangle. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now I'm going to make the same shape, but I'm going to go inside a little bit. So I'm going to actually drop down. Keep the same curve. I'm not measuring, I'm just kind of guessing that I'm the same distance apart. I'm going to go a little further down and do the same thing. Again, I'm following the same outline, taking my time. And I'm going to do one more because then they're going to get kind of too small to cut. All right, now I'm going to take my time cutting on the lines. I'm going to start with the largest part first. Now I'm keeping all my pieces folded together, so depending on how thick your paper is, it might be kind of difficult to cut. Make sure you're taking your time. So now that I have the first heart cut out, I'm going to hold my pieces together and continue cutting on the lines for the other hearts. Now guys, I'm going really super fast. I want you to take your time, cut with good craftsmanship, which means cutting on the lines, taking your time, cutting smoothly so there's no rough edges or frays in your paper. If you did draw lines like I did, you might choose to glue that side down. I think it makes it a little easier. That way you don't see the lines versus if you glue the line side up. So now, as strange as it sounds, we're gonna go through and cut on the fold and cut your pieces in half. And then you can divide them in piles by color. So I'm going to cut them in half again with each piece. I'm going to lay mine so that way they get bigger as they go down in my row. Alright guys, so I have all my pieces cut apart. Now it's time to kind of assemble together. You will need tape or glue for this next part. If you don't have that at home, you can always just put the pieces together for fun like a puzzle and then take it apart, or save your pieces and glue it when you get to school. Now you are going to need a third piece of paper for the background. This paper, it doesn't matter what color. Maybe you don't have very much paper. You can even cut a piece of cardboard, something left over like a container from maybe pop or water. All right, I'm folding it in half, hamburger ways, like a card, creasing it really well. This way I know my line of symmetry, I know the center, I know that both pieces are the same size on each side, so my paper is symmetrical. All right, I want to start with my biggest heart piece. That way I know where to glue it on the paper. So I want you to choose one of your colors. Just a reminder, my colors were purple, also known as violet, and yellow. So I'm going to put glue on the back of my heart, and then I'm going to glue it so it touches my center line of symmetry. Now if I put it too high, it's going to fall off the paper, so I want to make sure it all fits on the paper. So I'm going to put it as close as I can to the top while it's still touching the center, and smooth it. It's hanging over just a little bit, but it'll be all right. I didn't put much glue because I knew that I might have to move it a little bit, so I didn't want to make my paper a little messy. Sometimes it's easier to do that and then lift it up and put the glue where you need it. All right, looks good. So now I want to make the other side of my heart. Instead of doing the purple, I'm going to actually use my yellow piece that's the same size. And I'm going to attach it so it makes a full heart. So I've made my heart. Now I'm going to glue in my next smallest piece. I think it's a little easier to actually put your glue on your background paper, and then you can just place your heart pieces in. Now I have yellow on this side and purple on this side. I want to continue by using my opposite colors, and it's going to look like my pieces are meant to fit together, almost like a puzzle. And then I can smooth them. I am using purple glue so you could see it when it dries. You won't be able to see it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that on each side, and I'm going to keep going with smaller and smaller pieces, filling in, so that way eventually my whole heart is filled in, and you'll see it here in a minute. All right guys, so I finished putting my heart together. I'll be honest, I did it a little quickly, so it's a little sloppy. You can see some of the pieces of brown underneath, and really it should be perfectly lined up, so it almost looks like you can fold it in half. So now you have a couple options. I do not like the color I chose for the background, so I can actually go through and fill it in with my last piece of yellow and purple to give it more of a rectangle shape. Or I can go through and cut around the edge of my heart. It's totally up to you. Now, some people might want to leave it like this and fold it, and then you have almost a card-like shape. Okay, in the end, I think they look really neat because we're using our space in such a unique way. So normally when we talk about space, there's two different types of space. There's positive space and there's negative space. So space is the area around the object or inside it. So normally when you draw something like a heart on a piece of paper and you color it in, the space inside the heart is the positive space, and the negative space is the area around it. So looking at this heart, you can definitely see how each side is kind of opposite with the space. It's still balanced because each side has a light color and a dark color, and they're tied together equally. It's symmetrical because the shapes are the same size on each side, even though the colors are opposite. I think they turned out really cool. I hope you guys like them. And the cool part is you actually have the pieces if you want to go ahead and put them together on the opposite side, and then your heart will look neat on both sides. You could punch a hole in it and hang it up, or you can make something else cool out of it. I've also seen people where they glue them together and they make it, if you glue the bottom, you could leave the top open almost like a purse or a pouch. In the end, they look really, really cool. I hope you guys like this project. I would love to see what yours looks like. You could bring it into school and I'll give you extra credit. You could take a picture of it and email it to me, or send it to me on Google Classroom, or you can put it in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. I hope you guys have a great day, and I miss you, and I hope to see you soon.